Arg! Ahoy there, matey! Welcome aboard the world of boating.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
I was just looking into buying a boat of my own.
Call World of Boating toll-free now at 1-8888-28-BOAT. That's 1-888-828-BOAT.
And welcome. This is the World of Boating. Greg, your first mate, Captain Patrick, Barry, the boater, rounding out the crew on this Christmas week. Hopefully you're making the best of it and getting out on the water as soon as possible. Maybe you ought to celebrate Christmas out on the water. Open gifts out on your boat. Wouldn't that be a great, great thought for the holidays there, Patrick? Even you would like that, wouldn't you?
It's a terrible idea.
Terrible idea. Why?
Just because you think it's a great idea.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Yep.
Okay. So Captain, a.k.a., Patrick, a.k.a. Scrooge.
Spit it out, Greg.
Well, Scrooge. That's what Captain Scrooge, maybe we'll call him for the World of Boating today. But
yeah,
if
you ever let me write another radio play for Scuba Radio, maybe I wouldn't be in such a bad mood.
Well, and everybody, all the passengers, you're welcome. So... They've been abused enough for a year of 2020. Do you think they need anything like that at this point, Patrick?
Not the listeners of this show. I'm talking about Scuba Radio.
Oh, well, okay.
I take care of the listeners of this show. It's your other listeners that I want to take my vengeance out on.
Ah, gotcha. All right. Well,
come on. Those were a lot of fun to do, Greg.
Of course they were. Well, actually, we're kind of prepping right now for the Scuba Radio Crapstravaganza show today, so that's coming up a little bit later.
Thanks a lot for the invite.
No, you're always welcome. Barry's going to be there.
Yeah, right? Greg didn't finish that. You're always welcome to leave.
No. If you want to listen to some of the new Christmas music that Greg has put out for radio.
No.
Yeah,
I like doing the radio plays. Greg liked them too. He just doesn't like to admit it.
Right.
Although he didn't get my humor, which was like 90% of what I wrote for the play. So, but yeah, last show before Christmas, Christmas gifts abound. What'd you get us, Greg?
I got you the same thing I got last year.
Dead air.
Oh, it wasn't dead air. It wasn't even that. It was nothing. You're actually gonna get double the amount of what you had last year. How about that? Does that make you feel better?
How about health care? Could we get health care? Should we get health care for the upcoming year on our benefits package?
No. Oh, heck, that'd cost money. Oh, that's not going to happen.
How about could you cover the cost of the COVID shot, which is free?
Nope. Yeah, you're on your own. I'll give you a shot.
Yeah.
I'll give you a shot, all right. How about some of this Fireball for the holidays? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a shot. That counts.
Yeah, but I don't drink.
Well, that's why it'd be more entertaining for us to watch you.
No. There are people who still talk about my 30th birthday that was celebrated at Church Street in downtown Orlando.
Yeah,
it is entrenched in local lore.
Really,
and never ever will happen again.
Really,
that was my first brush.
You know, it's Christmas week. It's only fair that you share this story with everybody then. So what happened? You obviously started off on Church Street in downtown Orlando, and you had a cocktail or two, which you're not used to.
Because I don't drink, but friends took me out.
They roofied you, is what you're saying, and you ended up in an alley with your underwear down by your ankles, or what?
Almost.
Oh, wow.
Let me just put it this way. My friends took me out to Phineas Fogg's, if you remember that establishment.
Vaguely, yes.
Vaguely. Mm-hmm. And our friend Jimmy Joslin was the DJ down there, and nobody forced me to, but I did feel kind of a little bit of peer pressure at my 30th birthday.
Right.
So I wound up doing a couple shots.
Oh,
and again, I at that point in my life, I had never had liquor. Okay?
Right. And you turned into a calm, peaceful human being.
My friend Brian, after they lost track of me,
Couldn't find his body.
You ended up out on a boat.
My friend Brian found me laying in the middle of Church Street, howling at the moon.
Huh.
And Ryan, being a gentleman of considerable size, picked me up and slung me over his shoulder and drove me back to my apartment. And
that sounds like a typical Saturday night for Barry and I. I mean,
not for me. Where I promptly splurged, if you will.
Spewed, I think is the proper terminology.
My friend Brian was lucky enough. He got a bucket under my head just before I let go. And the next day when I saw him, he started bowing, doing the bow down thing. And I had no recollection of anything that happened after I took the first shot. And
figured that was a sign, huh?
I do not drink. Not only that, with my captain's license, with my class CDL, I have a lot of professional licenses that could be at risk. So I just don't do it. Plus, as a single parent who raised 2 daughters, I did.
Okay,
it's just
so you're
just my lifestyle.
You're being a responsible captain and
parent.
And the moral of this story is, if you're going to indulge during the holidays, don't turn into Captain Patrick.
Yeah, well, because you wouldn't indulge because Captain Patrick doesn't drink. But
not anymore, he doesn't.
Not.
I don't get the whole howling at the moon thing.
Neither did I. Well, that's just what I was told.
Every drunk's a little different. Now we know what he does. Yeah.
Boy, I'm awfully tempted to spike Captain Patrick's eggnog for the show today.
Yeah, you'll video that.
That'd be radio gold.
Yeah. Do not want to do that.
Okay.
Do want to start off though with congratulations are in order.
Well, thank you. What did I do?
Not named Greg.
Oh.
Actually to Barry.
Yes.
About a month ago, we discussed the candidates for the 2020 Boat of the Year. And you had made your pick, I made my pick, and Greg made no pick because he knows absolutely nothing about boats. So I had picked that tri-tune that was set up center console for fishing. You had picked the Axopar 28 cabin, and the Axopar 28 cabin did indeed take the 2020 Boat of the Year award from Boating Magazine.
Is that out of all boats or like a certain category?
Okay, Greg, you were part of the show.
I know. I'm asking. I'm bringing everybody up to
paying
speed.
Attention. Okay.
So there was a list of boat candidates. There was a fountain. There was the center console. There was there were a couple others in there. But really, I think it was really down to that pontoon boat or that tri-tune, which was unique with the center console set up for fishing type of thing. I thought that that would have a large market appeal. Barry called the Axopar with its closed cockpit, kind of got that pilot house look, but in a single outboard. A unique boat. The manufacturing of that vessel they really got it dialed in because you can do multiple cockpit layouts off of the one hull. And Barry, if you do recall, why did you make that your pick?
Oh, just because I thought it would handle rough seas and being enclosed, it would be a great fishing boat. But also, if the weather got really rough, you have an enclosed cockpit with 360-degree window.
That's a good answer, but I know he just went eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Absolutely not. That's the one that stuck out. And it also has solar cells on the roof there. It's really a nice boat. The strange thing is the bow of it. It does have a strange bow.
How so? Why?
It's more like a vertical knife than it is any bow that we've seen down here in South Florida. So, but it seems to cut through the water really nicely.
Yeah, it's weird that, the bow below the rub rail, and the rub rail, I'll say this, that thing is set up for some abuse because that thing looks like that heavy rubber type of rub rail. But the bow below rub rail, to your point, is kind of a knife edge look, if you will. But then as you come up from the bow eye, the bow of the deck is kind of squared off and blunt, and you come back about 1.5 feet, maybe 2 feet, and you've got a nice large bow seating area.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's and you said it yourself, they can change out the top hull however they want. They probably make it into a nice little cabin cruiser.
So, congrats to Barry. Called that one.
How much are those, by the way? Do we have a retail base price? One of those boat Boats of the year.
I believe it's about 150,000 Obama bucks.
Obama bucks, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't even
I
know
like
what to think
that.
of that. And once again, the style of boat is, according to Boating Magazine's Boat of the Year, it is the
Axopar, which is AXOPAR,
Yeah.
28. And I think Swedish by design. You can find out more.
You could buy that IKEA.
no, you get a
no,
you get a
not
free loaf of cheese.
That's not
okay.
a nice do-it-yourself assembly. But you can find out more at worldofboating.com or the World of Boating Facebook page where that story has posted.
Maybe some Swiss chocolate. I don't know. Maybe some of that. No? All right. More coming up on the World of Boating.
You're listening to the World of Boating Radio Network.
Hosting a radio show about scuba diving and boating is one of the best gigs on the planet. It's actually part of my job to check out and report on cool new products I personally use to enhance my diving and boating adventures. However, I do believe in sharing the joy, and this is why we've added Nanook protective hard cases to our list of products you can now purchase on the merchandise page at scubaradio.com. Nanook cases are designed to protect the most sensitive equipment in the harshest environments. Underwater photographers, listen up. From their high-impact NK7 resin to their exclusive Power Claw latches, Nanook has raised the bar for those of you that demand the best protection for your gear. Plus, Nanook protective cases cost less than similar products currently on the market. The company has been around for over 15 years, but it's new to the U.S., so we've made a small number of Nanook cases available exclusively for you at a special introductory price on the merchandise page at scubaradio.com. Go there now and check out Nanook, the evolution of protection.
Be an explorer in the other two-thirds of your world. Be the buddy who takes the kids in the aquarium instead of just to it. Be adventurous. Be amazed. Be a diver.
Even Keatley wasn't ready for me, or anything that followed. Chased by a police department, led by his ex-girlfriend, and hunted by brain fork-wielding Fijian assassins, it's everything he can do to keep from getting locked up, killed, or worse. Kava Screw is available as an ebook for $2.99 at Amazon.com. Kava Screw. Put a brain fork in it. He's done.
successfully navigated the Sea of Commerce and now are clear to cruise with the world of boating.
I do like the water.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
The sun, the sea air, good friends.
Brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
I love this.
This is the world of boating. Book live feeds and
Not we.
now we're on YouTube and Twitch and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So you can watch us if you like, and we apologize in advance. I see Boat Show Girl has already chimed in. She heard the word fireball, and that attracted her attention. So we appreciate you commenting, and let us know if you like the new, layout of the video and all that kind of. Give us a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, that kind of thing. And if you have any suggestions on how we can make it better, other than, hey, put a bag over your head, guys. We get that all the time. Give us something a little bit more creative.
What is it? What is this? We did this and we get this all the time. Barry and I don't get any of that. That's all you.
Well, trust me, I hear all the complaints.
No, you do not.
Like,
I hear all
can
the
you block
complaints.
the video feed of Barry and Patrick?
There I am. You can't
No
see me
problem.
no more.
I'll unplug the camera right now.
No.
He
'Cause
hears-
that was literally a fight between you and I, as far as me going on camera.
Right. Okay, whatever.
right.
But it is what it is, and I don't know. Actually, people have been liking watching us. I don't know what the deal is with that, but
They need a
we
comedy show.
have been tweaking the audio on it in particular. So let us know if you think it sounds good on the video feed, because that's a totally different thing than the World of Boating podcast. It's a whole another level of BS, is from a technical side of things. But we're trying to make it work.
Yeah, we're only 6 years behind everybody
Yeah,
else.
well, what are you going to do? All right, so what do we got as far as the latest boating news and
Okay.
information during this
So-
holiday week, Patrick?
Right from our own backyard, Greg. This past week, I have a
Orlando,
question for you.
Florida.
Wait, I
so
have a
everyone
question.
knows.
Orange County, Florida. So, question for you, Greg, the host of Just Plain Radio. Can I talk to Greg, the host of Just Plain Radio? Come in, Greg.
Yes,
Over.
Patrick. Roger. Roger. Well, I don't know what.
Are seaplanes, when they're on the water?
Yeah.
Are they bound by maritime law? Or are they still bound by aviation? Are they considered a boat when they're floating, when they're under power, or are they still a plane?
That's a good question. I
That
don't
is a
know.
good question.
I would
Yes.
assume it might apply to the boating guidelines to a certain extent, but I don't know. Why? Why do you ask?
Well, did this just a couple days ago? There was a seaplane. You're familiar with Lake Hiawassee?
I have heard of this, yes.
Yes. Interesting video. Fortunately, the pilot was not seriously injured, but this plane was touching down on the lake and comes down on the water, comes back up, comes back. He starts to porpoise is what happens.
Okay.
So instead of, coming up that first time and maybe applying power and coming around for another attempt, he just stuck with it. And after the third hop, nosed in. So
All right.
was,
So it didn't really go as planned. Was this on the landing or takeoff?
this was on the landing, coming
Okay.
in, and there was a
So it-
neighbor on the incoming side of the as the plane was coming overhead, and shot some pretty interesting video. Again, pilot was, for all intents and purposes, okay. The plane, not so much. But that was my question to Greg, the host of Just Plain Radio, whether or not seaplanes, what law or what regulations they're bound by when they are floating or under power on the water. Are
Well,
they a
I
boat
think
or
there's
are they
a
plane?
universal law that they're supposed to abide by. It's not really a law as much as it is a guideline, is don't crash. And that sounds like what that pilot experienced when he nosedived. So it sounds like when he landed his seaplane, that the water or the winds were a little too rough for his flying machine. Is that safe to say?
No, it didn't really look like. Didn't look like there was a lot of chop on the lake or anything. There wasn't a lot of wind noise.
Well, why
on
would
the
it be
video.
porpoised then?
Well, because he came down. I mean, maybe a little too much power.
Oh, he bounced.
Bounced.
Okay.
Came up, and again, instead of applying power and coming around, stuck with it. So I imagine kind of forward and gonna try to come down on the water again.
Yeah.
Makes contact with the water again. Comes back up. Comes back down. Comes back up, and then boom, stuffs it.
Touch and go, touch and go, touch and go. Barry, what say you?
Aren't airboats considered boats?
Okay, I guess. Why? What does that
Well,
have
if
to
they're
do with it?
if they're considered boats, and an airboat's nothing more than an airplane without wings.
No, it's not.
If you put wings on an airboat, it would fly.
But they don't have wings. It's a boat hull.
Well, if you have an airplane that has pontoons on it and it's made to land on the water, I think it would run under water regulation when it's on the water.
Maybe, but what? I mean, why would it matter though? Well, I mean, if it was determined to be, they were following boating rules or aviation rules, why would it matter in this case, Patrick?
It was just something that I found interesting that I had never thought about, and you, being the host of multiple shows, where often I defer. I'll ask a question of the host of Scuba Radio,
right,
Greg the Dive Master, for something involving diving and boating.
What boating rules did he violate?
I didn't say he violated any.
Okay.
I asked a question: is when a seaplane is on the water, under power, or floating, is it bound by FAA regs or is it bound by maritime regs? Or is
I'm
it
guessing a little bit
of
of both. Yeah, I'm guessing, but I don't.
It was just a question. I don't want to fight with you.
Well, sure you don't. You always want to fight, even during the holidays, Patrick.
He was
Come on, Scrooge.
I hate you, Greg.
He was deferring to your expertise.
I wish
as
my
a
mom had
pilot.
never met you.
Oh, what? I could say something really inappropriate right now, and I just won't
My mom
do it.
passed away, Greg. So
I know.
don't you dare.
That's why I'm not going to go there. But regardless, yeah, I mean, like I said, don't crash your airplane. But as far as when you're landing,
no wiser words were ever spoken.
Yeah,
crash airplane.
But as far as who yields to who, when you're landing a seaplane, if there's boats in the vicinity, that's a good question. I don't know.
But a seaplane would be, if memory serves, you're kind of restricted movement because you don't have the same maneuverability as a boat on water. So I believe a seaplane would probably be stand-on vessel at that point, and you would have to give way because of the restricted maneuverability.
That's what I would think too. But if you didn't see it,
unless there was a tanker in the area. Now, if there's a tanker in the area and the seaplane made an emergency landing and came into the shipping channel,
might land on the tanker.
Now you have two vessels that have restricted maneuverability.
It'd be more of turn it into an aircraft carrier kind of thing. I don't know. All right. Well, interesting food for thought here during the holidays on the World of Boating. Just what we do sometimes. More coming up.
You're listening to the World of Boating Radio Network.
Traffic sucks, unless you're scuba diving with Mike Scott.
Mike glanced down at his dive computer. It showed less than 50 PSI left in his tank. Probably just a few more breaths.
Or riding shotgun in a thrilling car chase.
One bullet hit the Jeep's windshield, spiderwebbing the passenger side. Mike shifted into second gear and felt the Jeep leap forward. This just got serious.
Escape your commute with audiobooks from author Eric Douglas. Download to your phone. Go to booksbyeric.com or audible.com.
Be an explorer in the other 2/3 of your world. Be the buddy who takes the kids in the aquarium instead of just to it. Be adventurous. Be amazed. Be a diver.
Imagine traveling twice as fast as you can drive. Imagine taking friends and family snorkeling, surfing, skiing, shopping, and more to exotic destinations. Imagine attending business meetings in cities far away and still making it home at night. Or just imagine exploring the wild blue yonder. Quit dreaming about it and get to it. There has never been a better time to become a private pilot, and Flight Training Professionals in Orlando will show you how. Flight Training Professionals in Orlando is your full-service flight school. A state-of-the-art flight simulator, a fleet of the latest Cessna aircraft, and a staff of full-time seasoned flight instructors are just a few of the many reasons Flight Training Professionals in Orlando is the place to start your aviation adventure. Call 407-896-0077. That's 407-896-0077. Or go to ftpros.com. That's ftpros.
Latest boating news and information. Just ask random questions about seaplanes and boats and takes precedence. But I don't know. If you know, maybe you can email us, info@worldofboating.com, or make a comment on the Facebook Live or YouTube feed. Barry, what say you?
Okay, according to the U.S. Coast Guard, the definition of a vessel includes virtually anything capable of being used for transportation on water, and that includes seaplanes. So when a seaplane, whether it's under power or not, required to comply with U.S. Coast Guard navigation rules, simply adhere to 14 CFR Part 91, Section 91.115 to ensure compliance.
Sounds pretty official to me, so I guess we'll go with that for now. All right. So what else you got, Patrick, or is that enough?
That's enough.
We got another 30 minutes to go, so I hope you got more.
Yeah. So another news story that came across this week was on Trade Only Today, again, posted on the World of Boating Facebook page and worldofboating.com. If you haven't taken an opportunity to check us out and like us, we'd appreciate it if you did so. And for those of our longtime listeners, take a look at our sponsors, please, if they have something that you might be interested in, that type of product. We'd kind of gave them the first shot because they are what keeps us on the air. Believe me, it is not Greg's good looks personality.
Lies. And by the way, when you like us, it doesn't mean you really like us. It just means like that's good enough. So just hit the like button, subscribe to the video.
I can't. My ego cannot take too much more. I really thought it was because they liked us.
No,
liked us. Okay. You guys remember a couple years ago? Well, let me scratch that. Barry, you remember a couple years ago?
Yeah, I remember a couple years ago.
we had this company on that was based out of the UK, Cox Powertrain, and we're going to talk more about Cox when we come back.
Wait, quit it! You can't during the holidays, really? Oh dear God, help us! More coming up.
Down the gutter we go.
You're listening to the World of Boating Radio Network.
Have you seen that new Santa they just hired?
Yeah, he's back there drunk.
It was late at night on Christmas Eve. I was dreaming of the soft white snow. White snow. I was awoken by a noise near the Christmas tree. What it was, I did not know. It was Santa Claus. He was bringing me some gifts. Unfortunately, I did not know that. I didn't know. So I quietly snuck up behind him, and I shot him 5 times in the back. It went pow, 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 pow. Then that's when I heard my telephone. It was Auntie Jean looking for Uncle Bob. She said he left the house dressed as Santa Claus, but he didn't come home last night. Have you seen him? God, I hope he's all right.
This is the World of Boating. We apologized in advance, and it's the holidays, so that's just what we do sometimes here. I am Greg, your first mate, Captain Patrick Barry, the boat around and out the crew, and we're going to talk about a certain industry. I forget the name. What was it again?
Okay, it's Cox Powertrain.
Right.
COX. Mm-hmm. And they bought the first breakthrough diesel outboard into production. And remember, this was a high performance diesel outboard. We had, I believe it was the CEO, CFO at the time, on the air. He raised the IQ of the show just with his English accent. And Cox Powertrain is now in serial production with the CXO 300. They achieved their Tier 3 approval from the EPA. Wow. And in September, U.S. dealers started to receive shipments of the first production units. Here in Florida, Ring Power, also known as Ring Haver, they did a twin setup on an Intrepid 345 Nomad. Tim Rutsis, Formula CEO, Formula One engine supplier Cosworth, background in engine development in global automotive, aerospace, and marine markets, is now leading Cox, which has a worldwide network of 5 distributors. If you remember, we had them on the air and we were talking in depth about this. And they didn't take an existing diesel engine. They didn't take a truck engine or an automotive engine or even a high performance diesel engine from another, from a car or anything like that. They designed this from the block up, strictly for this. And their initial market was going to be military applications. And then we had talked with them at the time. They talked about, being in the right place at the right time, the explosion, if you will, of outboards coming back into boat marketplace again. Boats that 10, 15 years ago, you would never have thought would be powered with outboards, talking about 35-foot yachts, 42-foot yachts. And this outboard engine, again, when I start pushing a certain amount of weight, I'd probably prefer to have a diesel engine versus a gas, just because the durability and the lower R's that it should be turning. So they are doing well. What I was a little chagrined about is they didn't even give us a mention in the article.
What?
I mean, we basically introduced them to the U.S. marketplace via this show, got no credit whatsoever. And I'll say this, and this isn't a knock against them, but when I was down at Flibs a couple months ago, I stopped by their booth. They had one person manning the booth and I'm talking about zero charisma, excitability, just like nothing. I tried to.
I tried. British.
No, this guy was from the U.S.
Oh, okay.
I tried to engage him and kind of hey, how things go, and just was like very lackluster in yeah, they're in production. Like I after about 10 minutes of trying to drag some information and engage him in conversation about this, because I was kind of angling towards maybe getting them back on air again.
Right.
I was like, you know what? I got too many other things to see, because I had the World of Boating Facebook fans that were sending me all over Flibs. I don't know, to walk something like 20 miles or something that day.
Did he know who you were?
No. And that bothered me too. How can I have my media credential hanging right there? Captain Patrick, World of Boating.
So he did know
show.
who you were.
He just didn't pay any attention.
Sure, he probably knew who you were. And was like, oh crap!
This is why I need people to like us on Facebook.
Really need an OK button. Yeah, he's just okay.
Yeah, but so those outboard engines are making it in. They've outfitted the first one here in Florida. And
did you like that, even though you didn't like their sales guy? What did the
I really liked the engines. I like the fact that they designed it to be a first for military application. So you're going to designing something that needs to be a low maintenance, high reliability, economical, and being able to push a large craft or a craft with a lot of soldiers, ordnance, whatever, on board. And this, again, they were the right place at the right time. Now they just got to get some manufacturers. And that's something that I think the market is seeing with dealers, is a lot of manufacturers have agreements with certain engine suppliers, especially when it comes to outboards, whether they're strictly going to be Yamaha or Mercruiser, what have you. And you may have a dealer that, look, I I don't service Yamaha. Nobody in this area does Yamaha. I don't want to become Yamaha certified. So build me I'll order one, but send it to me blank or pre-rigged for a Merc or something like that. And then they'll hang their own engine.
Yeah. What do you think about this, Barry?
I'm just wondering, are diesels, because we don't really talk about it that much, are they still really finicky? Are you talking about low maintenance with the fuel and all that, or have they been able to? I'm talking about like debris and anything. With a gas engine, you could sometimes flow things through there without a problem, but diesels always found
Are a
them
little
to be
bit more
finicky.
sensitive. Yeah.
No, I mean with the proper filters and proper filter maintenance, I've never found that to be the issue. The two things that I found in the past, one that took 3 days working with a service tech from Cummins Southeast on a loss of power on a 46-foot yacht. After we had gone through the fuel, gone through the engines, everything, we found that at the last maintenance interval, the service tech had put in the wrong size fuel filters, the wrong micron, and it was restricting the fuel flow. So it was literally starving the engines. The other issue that you'll find is algae. Algae growing in the diesel fuel. That was
I believe the Brits call it algae, just for the record.
I just don't understand how a plant grows inside fuel.
Well, here's the thing. It wasn't an issue, my understanding, and what I've researched on it, until World War II, where just the way that it was being shipped and I guess the sources that they were using, it then, from World War II on, became an issue. So you've got, your biocides, your algicides, things like that you can put into the fuel. But again, fuel filter maintenance when dealing with especially if you're not turning that fuel over frequently, is something that you'll want to certainly keep extra filters on board, because it's probably the first thing that I'd be looking at.
Okay. Well, Patrick, so these guys that came out with this engine, they did that. Is this a trend you think is going to continue to develop, and they're on the leading edge of it? Or are they going to get blown by with all these electric, motors we're starting to see?
I don't think you're going to see the electric really making it into luxury performance end, on the mass production scale for a while yet, because the cost is going to have to come down. That's one thing that Cox is going to be up against, because at the time they were looking at about $50K per engine. And that's a little pricey for any market. So, and as it was a new engine, as I said, from the block up, they had to create all the tooling, they had to create all the manufacturing capabilities to produce this engine. They have to recoup that money. So, it's going to be a little while before that price starts to come down. But I could certainly see where they could expand upon that market and offer a larger diesel engine offering. Again, boats that yachts that stay in the water and don't get hauled out, don't get put in dry stack, aren't on a boat lift. And if you're in a corrosive water environment, such as salt water, really enjoy the opportunity to be able to trim your engine package up out of the water and not have to worry about the corrosion aspect or the maintenance aspect of running gear that's below the waterline. Even on, say, a Zeus pod or the IPS pods, still have bottom paint, you have the opportunity for corrosion. And with those type of boats set up with pod drives, you have little to zero trim capabilities with that craft. In other words, you don't have the opportunity to be able to trim that bow up, get more hull up out of the water, get better performance.
Well, there you go. All right. Well, I think that's a pretty good testimonial for what they've done so far. More coming up on the World of Boating.
You're listening to the World of Boating Radio Network.
Do you have a message or product you need to share with the boating world? Well, look no further than the World of Boating radio show. Just like you, thousands of boating enthusiasts are hearing this message, and we could be talking about you and your product or service as early as next Saturday. Remember, a terrible thing happens when you don't advertise. Nothing. Go to worldofboating.com, send us an email, and let's get to work to make your marketing message matter.
Traffic sucks, unless you're scuba diving with Mike Scott.
Mike glanced down at his dive computer. It showed less than 50 psi left in his tank. Probably just a few more breaths.
Or riding shotgun in a thrilling car chase.
One bullet hit the Jeep's windshield, spiderwebbing the passenger side. Mike shifted into second gear and felt the Jeep leap forward. This just got serious.
Escape your commute with audiobooks from author Eric Douglas. Download to your phone. Go to booksbyeric.com or audible.com.
Hosting a radio show about scuba diving and boating is one of the best gigs on the planet. It's actually part of my job to check out and report on cool new products I personally use to enhance my diving and boating adventures. However, I do believe in sharing the joy, and this is why we've added Nanook protective hard cases to our list of products you can now purchase on the merchandise page at scubaradio.com. Nanook cases are designed to protect the most sensitive equipment in the harshest environments. Underwater photographers, listen up. From their high-impact NK7 resin to their exclusive Power Claw latches, Nanook has raised the bar for those of you that demand the best protection for your gear. Plus, Nanook protective cases cost less than similar products currently on the market. The company has been around for over 15 years, but it's new to the U.S., so we've made a small number of Nanook cases available exclusively for you at a special introductory price on the merchandise page at scubaradio.com. Go there now and check out Nanook, the evolution of protection.
Successfully navigated the Sea of Commerce and now are clear to cruise with the world of boating.
I do like the water.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
The sun, the sea air, good friends.
Brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
I think it's important that all the children out there believe in the magic of Satan.
That's Santa. Typo.
Santa got a sunburn, that's why he's all red. He took off the suit and his big black boots and even the cap on his head. He was on vacation down in the islands, even brought his sled. Santa got a sunburn, that's why he's all red.
This is the World of Boating. Greg, your first mate, Captain Patrick, buried a boater rounding out the crew on this holiday edition of the big show. All right, so we've covered diesel outboards. What else do we got to
all right
navigate through there?
Here we go. Yep. So this past week on the World of Boating Facebook page, where you can certainly reach out to us and pose a question, a comment, even if it's derogatory towards Greg, feel free.
What?
We had one of our listeners, Jeff King, reached out to us, and he had a question regarding dock lines. And is something that we definitely want to talk about, but I want to just mention that after responding to him, my response to him, not yours, Greg.
Okay.
He said, you definitely bring up good points. I kind of like the idea, blah, 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 blah. I'll talk about what my idea was. He said, I look forward to hearing the discussion. I'm loving the show, BTW. Is that like British trade winds? Found you guys about a month ago and started listening to the 2016 shows.
Oh.
I am now up to almost 2018. I listen to 2 shows a day on average. Jeff, we appreciate it, but seriously,
And we're sorry.
You need to get a life.
Well, he won't be hearing this show for at least another year or two. So
yeah, at this rate. But his question was this: when it comes to dock lines and tying your boat up, what is your preferred method? Do you do the loose end to the dock and the loop to the cleat on the boat, or the loose end to the boat and the loop to the cleat on the dock? My response to him was, because he posted this video and, this guy's like, you've been tying up your boats wrong this whole time. Not Jeff, this guy in this video.
Yeah.
And Jeff is in agreement with me. And this is the way that I've always done it, because it's easier for me, because oftentimes when I'm out and I'm bringing in, whether it's a 35 footer or a 53 footer, I'm by myself. So utilizing, especially with pod drives, I can engage, the DPS system or Skyhook, can get out, can set my dock lines. I put the looped end to the cleat on the boat.
Right.
Okay.
I was going to say that too.
And then, no, you weren't.
Yeah, I was.
Then when I come in, well, Greg, when you land a plane, do you prefer wheels up or wheels down? I prefer wheels down.
Hilarious.
That was
so
good.
The reason being is when I come in, I can come into the dock. Everything's already set there, and my adjustment is then done with the loose end at the cleat on the dock, whether I'm at a fixed dock or I'm at a floating dock.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier for me to do it that way.
Right.
But here's the important thing. Whichever way you choose to do it, whether on the deck of the boat or on the dock, take some pride in your dock line and take an extra 5 minutes and just Flemish them, so that you don't create a trip hazard. And if you're tying off to the cleat, whether on the boat or on the dock, just take 5 minutes, check a YouTube video on YouTube on how to properly tie off to a cleat, how to loop, so that you just don't wind up, you pull up to a dock and it's just wrapped around the cleat.
Right.
You
got to
50
Flemish.
times.
You got to do it with flair too.
Don't
you?
Flemish is not flair.
Well, you should. You could combine the two.
No, if you're gonna put flair to the Flemish of the dock line, that involves like some lighter
Performance
fluid
art.
and setting it on fire after you've coiled it.
No.
But here's the thing:
the
the loose end to the cleats on the boat, especially if you have a small gunnel that you're walking on, it creates a trip hazard. Especially if you're by yourself, you're moving quickly up and down the side of the boat, fore and aft. It looks bad. It doesn't look professional. And that's one of those things. Yeah, it's a idiosyncrasy of mine. I take pride in, and if I'm going to be in a slip for a while, I'll also tape off so I know exactly where those lines need to be, what the length is, leave those at the dock, and I'll have another set of lines on the boat. So if I'm going somewhere and I'm tying off at a restaurant or something, I've got another set of dock lines on the boat that I can use and leave my other set at my home port, if you will. Barry,
Okay.
what say you?
Well, yeah, I keep my line. Well, they consider the lines on your boat as transient lines and the lines on your dock as permanent lines. But, I've read it back and forth. I've seen stories where they say you hand them off the eye of the line because it's easier for them to put it on. There's not always a cleat. Sometimes you go to some of these docks and you just have a piling
Right.
there, and you'll wrap around it. So I normally keep my my end on the boat, and I leave the bitter end for the who's ever on the dock.
Okay. So same
Greg?
way. Do you make them flare
yeah.
though? Do you make them flare when they phlegm?
Do I phlegm them? Yeah, I flemish them when I'm done. I
Yeah.
see a lot of people really don't know how to tie a cleat though, and you'll see a big ball of line tied up there. It takes you 5 minutes just to untie them. If you do it right, you only have to go around once.
Yep. And
Right.
And it unties quickly.
And you
then
make
you
them
see
do a
that-
little twirl and
Yeah.
turn it into a performance. That's the way
And
you
then-
should do it.
Then you see that dock line that's been there, and it hasn't been undone in like 5 years.
Oh,
And it's molded, mildewed. It's a rock hard fiber at that point.
Yeah.
well,
I've had somewhere I just had to cut the lines. I mean,
that's what a marlin spike is for, and we could talk about that next time.
Okay. Is that a drink? Like a shot or something?
I'm not drinking a Marlin spike.
Okay. Well, maybe for
Stop
next
it.
week's holiday edition of the Big Show. Hey, look, that'll do it for this week. Enjoy your holiday. Till then, remember, whether it's sail or motor,
Life is better as a boater.
safe boating, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Come back here, you barnacle-bitten swab! World of Boating is brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
Any of this getting through to you, son?
World of Boating is a production of Overboard Entertainment Incorporated.
Computer standing by.
Remember, you can listen live or to archives of past shows worldwide over the internet at worldofboating.com.
Computers can do that?
So tell a friend and come aboard every week for the World of Boating.
This is so great. I can't wait. I'm getting goosebumps. Feel me. Feel me.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
TTFN, ta-ta for now.
The opinions you just heard on the World of Boating are those of the hosts, callers, and guests. They are not necessarily those of any station or network, its management, or advertisers.
What are you being such a weenie for?
While on the water, your safety and the safety of many others depends on you. So boat smart and operate your vessel only after receiving the proper training and instruction for your area.
There is a fine line between genius and madness.
Have any questions or comments? Feel free to do so via the web at worldofboating.com.